coronavirus.
It literally gave you coronavirus. It gave us Tiger King.
Tiger King. Yeah.
It gave us disconnection from our loved ones.
It did.
Yeah. Cancellation of all our hopes and dreams.
Situational depression.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it also gave us American Murder.
Oh, goodness.
Which I don't know if it's a good thing or in terms of our entertainment.
Yeah.
Or if it's just so horrific that we shouldn't even be joking about it.
It was very eye-opening, to say the least. I've been checking Philip's hands at night more when I go to bed, just to see what he's hiding under his pillow. Yeah. It'll really make you think and go,
do you know somebody?
Do you really know your peoples?
Yeah.
I mean, this poor woman.
It's not even just your people. I mean, it's like
Anybody.
Your spouse that you've been married to and have children with and still think you're in love with.
Well, I mean, I tell Philip all the time, look, it's always the husband. So if
in
anything
case,
ever happens to me,
yeah,
you go into jail, whether you did it or not.
Yeah, and let this podcast be evidence.
That's right. Yes.
That you've said that.
He's a great husband, but I don't know that man.
You do not know him.
I've only been married to him for 22 years.
He could be somebody else.
I have only known him since I was 16 years old.
I mean, the B2K killer, he had grown children.
I know, that's right. And, you know, Philip be like real quiet sometimes.
Yeah.
And
he's hard to get to know.
He's hard to get to know. He's real nice.
Yeah. Everybody always says he was so quiet.
He was so quiet.
Yeah.
And he works on computers.
Yeah. Oh, he's totally guilty.
Yeah.
Who should we call about that?
I'm going to go ahead and report him. I'm kidding. I have a wonderful husband. But if I end up dead, do not count him out. Just saying.
Okay, what I want to say before we start talking about this, it's called American Murder. It's on Netflix. It's about the Watts family over in Colorado.
Right.
That we will probably be giggling about some things, surely, only to break the tension. It's never our intent to make fun of the victim.
Never.
Ever, or their family, her family. Certainly not these children. But sometimes, if I know Misty and I know myself, we need a little levity because you have to laugh to keep from crying sometimes.
Exactly.
But under no circumstances do we want anybody to misinterpret that as being disrespectful of this horrible, horrible thing that's happened to this family.
We're just a couple of sad clowns. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
That's the God's honest truth.
Yeah. So.
All right, you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right. So, first of all, what do we call this lady? Is it Shanann, or Shanann?
From what I gathered, it was
whatever.
Shanann.
Okay, because her stepmama called her Shannon.
Well, now...
Or her mama.
The first time I ever heard it, I thought, they are not pronouncing this correctly. But then I heard her mother say Shanann, and I thought, well, she gave birth to her, so she knows.
Oh, I heard her say Shannon.
I think that was the mother-in-law.
Oh, the mother-in-law.
Yeah, and you know, mother-in-laws, they never get it right. So, and she probably did that on purpose. Oh, hey, Shannon.
Yes.
Like to keep her a little bit humble. You know how you'll do that?
Agreed.
How I'll be like, hey, Amarilys. Amarilys. So you think...
Amarilla. I get Amarilla
So you don't think like we're too close.
Yeah.
And
it keeps me humble.
Nobody's ever pronounced my last name correctly. So, and poor Avery. I tried to be real fun and cute with her name. So I have a daughter named Avery, and it's spelled Avri. And so she gets Avery. She gets
that's what it says.
She gets Avery, like it's French. And then Gillespie, can't nobody say that.
Yeah, she's in trouble.
Yeah, she
needs to go legally change that spelling.
Well, her favorite thing is she played softball for 1 year when she was 7. She was terrible. And she got a little trophy, and they spelled both of her names wrong. And she loves that trophy. So, you know.
Well, there you have it. So, Shanann. This is the story of Shanann Watts and her sweet little girls.
Right.
This couple is from North Carolina, but they moved to Colorado. I can't remember the reason or if they even said it, but they were living in Colorado in this beautiful, beautiful home. Mm-hmm. And what's cool about this documentary is that there's no narrator.
Right.
It's all it's an entire story told through actual videos, actual interviews, like police interviews.
How about that police camera footage was
Amazing.
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 I mean, I've seen police camera footage, and usually it's like all grainy, and it's from the hip, so you're only seeing like people's crotch and stuff. So, but theirs was great.
No, it was amazing. The entire documentary is told through social media posts. This woman loved her some live Facebook posts.
Let me tell you something. Me and Shanann really connected that way. Because, you know, when I sold the beauty makeups,
yes,
I used to love to do
you did.
a live. I was great at it, by the way.
Confirmed.
And, I mean, if you're a person who has, like, a real outgoing personality, and especially if you're home with kids, that's, like, kind of your lifeline. Yeah. And you could tell she was very much an outgoing kind of entertainer, like life of the party. She liked to be a presence in a room.
She was in an MLM company and seemed to be a leader in that MLM company. And so when you do that, when that's your livelihood, and that's what you do is you got to be in people's faces.
You got to stay in the feeds.
Yeah. So you know, according to these Facebook posts and videos and beautiful pictures of them and their children, and you know, this whole pregnancy reveal video, and everything's perfect. It's idyllic.
And isn't that a lot of what we see on Facebook and Instagram?
Oh gosh,
everybody's life is perfect,
carefully curated.
Look at this, beautiful. I mean, except for people like us who we indulge in showing our mess. I mean, my favorite thing is to be like, hey, so we've got poop on the wall over here. So
let me tell you a little story about our mess.
A little different, but
anyway, yes, everything was idyllic, and there's always I can think of a number of people. I mean, everything's perfect.
Right.
I mean, nobody ever knows their mess.
Well, and she also had this really inspiring backstory that I can relate with. She suffered from lupus, which is an autoimmune disorder. I myself have some autoimmune issues. And so the business that she was in was kind of a health and wellness business, these patches and vitamins and all these kind of things. And so she had found some relief through this. And so sharing her story was huge. And a lot of people looked at that and thought, wow, you know, this is something I suffer with. I want to be able to feel good again. I want to be able to play with my kids and go on trips. And a lot of her stuff was them going on these cool cruises and trips and at the beach with their kids and just everything as a young mother that you would love to happen in your life, you know.
She also talked a lot about how her husband was super supportive of her in her health journey. Yes. And how he, you know, she was always down.
Right.
Like physically down. And so he was just the perfect person to help her recover and to walk her through this, that nobody else could have done it except for Chris. And she didn't know she could even have children, so she had these two beautiful little girls and they were just completed their home, and he really had wanted boys, and now she was pregnant with a boy,
and it was everything's coming full
everything's
circle.
Great. Yeah. So on August 13th, this was 2019, I believe, her friend Nicole drops her off. They'd been on a trip to Arizona for one of these MLM trainings that they had gone to.
Right.
And the next day, the friend had just kept calling to check on her, and she would answer the phone. So the friend got really worried. And let me tell you, you need a friend like Nicole. Okay?
Yes.
You need a friend like Nicole. Because homegirl says, I cannot get it. Okay, she had dropped off the night before.
2 a.m.
Yeah. Okay, their plane had gotten in late.
Right.
She had dropped her off about that time. And then next day, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, she can't get a hold of her.
Right.
So she starts freaking out. You need a friend like this.
And this is obviously somebody that she was in constant communication with. I'm sure because of their business together, and they were close friends. And it was just somebody that she would have heard from already that morning. Me, on the other hand, I could be dead 7 days. Nobody would know.
I would call 911 immediately and point the finger at Philip, okay?
But you wouldn't know until it was time for us to podcast. Because I don't really talk to people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Unless it's like people I work with, which still my schedule is still kind of different.
Funky,
Like I don't work every single day. And so I'm like, good grief. I mean, I might be gone for a while, especially if it was Philip. He'd be like, oh, Misty, she's just not in the mood.
Yeah, she's...
She just don't feel like answering. Because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I see that text. I'm going to text back in about 5 minutes, and it'll be about 5 days.
Yes, that has happened to me.
You know.
Yes.
You know. No offense.
Because I'll be like, hey, what's up? 5 days later, hey, not much.
Hey, girl, what's going on? I mean, I'll act like we didn't skip a beat. I won't be like, sorry, it took me so long. I'll just keep it going, because that way you can't say anything to me.
Well, you need a friend like Nicole, because
really
she
do.
comes over after 12 hours and says, we need to call 911.
Yeah.
Because she's got her mama on the
Oh,
phone.
she still called her mama.
Oh, yeah, she called her mama.
Yes, Nicole.
Hey, Misty, please never call my mother. Okay. I cannot have her freaking out.
Can I tell you, if you call Joyce, Joyce will blame it on you. She'll be like, well, Amarilys, you sound a little suspicious yourself.
No, I just don't want my mother to go through the trauma
Right.
of it. Like, don't call her. Call her once I'm found.
And P.S., you wouldn't have to call the police, because Joyce would straight up break a window and crawl her tail in here. She does not
Well,
play.
I think maybe her mama might have done that, but she was in North Carolina.
My mother actually did call the police on my sister one time.
She probably deserved it.
She did. She was not answering her door, and she should have been at home, and my mother was worried, and she was like, I'm calling the police. And she straight up did. And my sister was like, what are you doing?
She saw the police
She was
at her
like,
door.
I'm asleep. Yeah. But, that's love.
Yes, it is.
That's love.
So the police come, and they can't go in, so they have to wait on Chris.
Right.
And so Chris comes, and he just shows up, and he's like, I don't know.
I'm super worried.
This is crazy. Let's go inside. Here's her wedding ring. She left her wedding ring.
What?
The girls' blankies are gone.
Oh, they never leave without those.
The girls' blankies are gone.
Let me tell you how I knew immediately this son of a gun was guilty. Nobody texts their wife, hey, sweetie. Oh, goodness, I'm so worried about you.
Yeah.
Please call me back. Philip Gillespie would be like, where you is? You got people up in my house, and I don't like people up in my house. What is going on? Like, it would not be no, hey, sweetie.
Yeah, he was definitely, he said, oh, here's her phone. This is her lifeline. She doesn't go anywhere without it.
She would never leave without it.
Yeah. So you could see he was really kind of formulating some stuff even at the outset. Mm-hmm. And after he left to go back to work, his friend who was in the house said he's acting weird.
Oh, yeah, the neighbor was like, he's not acting right. He doesn't talk a whole lot, and he's talking a whole lot, which is kind of a sign, especially when people are guilty, because they're trying to formulate a story. They're trying to have an out, like they're trying to think of all this stuff, especially if it's something that maybe they didn't plan super ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or they weren't really expecting, oh, gosh, I'm going to have police in my house afternoon of.
Yeah.
Not, oh, I'm going to report her missing and everybody's going to feel bad for me and I'm going to be a Scott Peterson for a while.
Right.
No,
this all went down the same day.
Nicole messed you up.
Yes, she did. That's why you need a person like Nicole.
She's a
hero.
Nicole.
She is
We love you, Nicole.
Also, her phone's at home, and so are all her medications. Because I think they said she was a diabetic, too. Maybe she had a patch on her arm.
Yeah, I want to say
which made me think that was insulin. But
well, I think that was part of her vitamin thing.
Maybe.
Her health and wellness patch thing.
Maybe.
But
all
I
her
think
meds, she
had
sick.
meds she had to have daily.
Yeah. And he seems like actually a really sweet daddy. Like, they go back and forth and show videos, real life videos, and he seems engaged and sweet and loving, and he just seems like your regular good old I love my little girls,
run of the mill.
He's a girl daddy. And so his friend rats him out because he's acting strange, and he sounds really calm when he's talking to the cop about the kids, not at all like he just killed them.
Not at all. And also not at all like a dad who can't find his little girls and his wife. Like, he didn't
He's
seem
not panicking.
Concerned. I mean, he was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I would be like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, we need to do something now.
Yeah. So I did not follow this story when it was first out. I mean, I just kind of knew what was going on, but I didn't follow it. But I wish I had, because the second I had seen him interviewed by that local news station, and he said, I just, I don't know where they are. I just really want them back. And that's how he said it after his wife and they're like 5 and 3 or 5 and 2.
They're babies.
Yeah, they're little bitty. That gave it away to me was,
yeah.
Somebody said, the interviewer said, did you have a fight before she went missing? And he said, I wouldn't call it a fight. It was an emotional conversation. I mean, and then he said, I just really want him back. There was nothing in his eyes. There
Not
was
a
nothing
tear.
in his, nothing in his demeanor, his body language, nothing in his voice that would say, I really just want them back.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't even trying.
No.
He wasn't even trying. Well, after a few days, the police decide to question him about her disappearance.
Right.
And so that's when we start kind of flashing back to how we got to this point.
Yeah.
And apparently it all kind of went down within 7 weeks because everything apparently was totally perfect.
Right.
And then Shanann went to spend 6 weeks with her family in North Carolina.
Right.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. And you're pregnant.
Okay, look. Everybody has their own stuff.
Sure.
And everybody has their own way of doing things. And I know that living in Colorado with your family being in North Carolina can be a hardship. I totally get it. I'm very close with my family. They're in Atlanta, and I go every 3 or 4 weeks
Right.
for a couple days. But 6 weeks away from your husband.
And your kids.
Well, she took her kids.
Well, I mean, he's away from his kids.
Yeah, he's away from the kids.
Yeah.
Yes. That seems unreasonable to me.
So unreasonable.
I mean, I'm thinking you should have gone for a couple of weeks. I mean, it's not like it's not like Mama was sick and she was making sure, it was into her life or something. It was just,
right.
I'm going on vacation for 6 weeks without you, husband.
Well, and in the documentary, they're showing the text messages back and forth from Shanann and Chris. And she's very much like, you don't care. Like, we've been gone for 6 weeks. He wasn't calling in and checking. He wasn't FaceTiming the girls. He wasn't doing those things that she would expect a dad to do, which is miss his family.
Yeah.
And he just didn't really seem to care. And at one point she even said, she was talking to one of her friends and she said, I was trying to talk to him, we've been gone 6 weeks. And while I'm talking to him, he started working out. Girl. It would not do me. I mean, we would have had it out right then. And before she went on the extended vacation, she had confided in a friend that they were not having sex anymore. He was very distant from her. She would try to entice him, and he would just seem very uninterested, or he would just reject her altogether. And, I mean, as a woman, that is so upsetting.
Yeah.
Especially when you're pregnant, okay? Because you're already feeling kind of like your body's different and you're not feeling yourself. And then your husband's like, no, I'm good. I'm sorry. What husband says, no, I'm good? Not mine. I mean, we've been married 22 years and he's still like,
he still ain't said no.
He's still like, is it time? I'm sorry. Like, I mean, he could be in the middle of a project and he'd be like, well, let me put this hammer down. I mean...
Sometimes he takes a hammer with him.
Yeah. When your man reacting that way, something is off. Okay? I'm going to be straightforward with y'all. And she was not dumb. Like, she knew that things were weird. And even the neighbors had said, the week before that they could tell that there was something going on in their marriage and their family. And so, especially that far away...
Mm-hmm. That opens up
a lot of opportunities for things that married people shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
She also had a massive come apart blowout with her mother-in-law, Chris's mother.
Yes.
One of the girls had allergens, and the mom fed her some allergens.
Right.
And said...
because now Chris comes up for the last week, right? Because that's the birthday.
Yes, but this happened before that.
The allergen stuff did?
They did, yes.
I thought it happened the same week because they ended up... The mother-in-law didn't come to the birthday.
She texted him and said, you need to call your mother and tell her not to feed your daughter.
But it was still on that trip, right?
Yes, same
okay.
trip. Same
okay.
trip. Yes.
All right. Got
yes.
you.
Yes. So yes, the grandmother on Chris's side, his mother fed the kids some
Ice
I don't
cream.
know, peanuts or ice cream or
It was
something.
ice cream, yeah.
And caused a reaction, and
I don't even think the baby had a reaction. I think
she didn't.
she just could have, because Shanann saw what was in the ice
okay.
cream,
I
and
gotcha.
she was mad that it was even in the house.
Right,
like
right.
she was, not that the grandmother fed it to her, just that she saw it in the house, and that was going to be something they were going to have that week, and she just like lost it.
So let me tell you something that kind of really stuck out to me. During this trip, there was lots of fighting over text.
Yes.
Okay. This was one of them. You could call your daughters more.
Right.
You could, this, that. And he always responded very kindly. With the mother thing, he said, you know what, you're right. I really do need to call her. She cannot do that. That's so dangerous.
Right.
And when she said, you really need to call your children, he said, oh gosh,
absolutely.
I've not been able to. I'm so sorry. I totally will tonight. You really need to be more emotionally available to me. Oh, I will, baby. I love you so much. Like,
you're so beautiful.
Everything was so, I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if he was being sincere or if he was just trying to get it over with,
I think he just didn't want to talk to her. And
Yeah.
so whatever he had to say to get her off his back so he could continue on with his extracurricular activities is what he was going to say. Now, you know as well as I do, and we both have wonderful husbands, but when it comes to disagreements about the children or things like that, Pete Gillespie is not going to be like, yes, ma'am.
Oh, no.
You are absolutely right. I would never in a million years. He's going to be like, hey, well, let's talk about it. I mean, surely that was not the intent.
Yeah.
So let's take that back a little bit and look at the big picture. Like, he's going to have a real conversation with me.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be, oh, I love you, baby. Let's put a Band-Aid on it and move on.
She was very domineering. Very domineering, which, that did not listen, I'm not saying she deserved to be killed.
No.
But that did not do her any favors.
No.
And she was very, I think I would have had a very difficult time being married to her.
Yeah. And when you look at some of the footage, she even says in some of her videos, I'm kind of the alpha, and he's so easygoing, and I'm a lot to deal with, and look, I get it. I'm a lot. I have a big personality. I'm very much about what I want, and I'm not afraid to tell people. But Philip also is the type, as much as he is kind of more laid back and quiet, like, he'll calm me down in a hot second. Like, he'll be like, I don't know who you think you are today. Settle it down and take a step back. You're not my mother, like we are a good mix because he knows how to be like, no, girl, you ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
But one thing that really stuck out to me, and I don't know if you caught this, but when they do the pregnancy reveal video, I don't know that he was trying for a baby the way she was. And I may be totally off here. I don't know the situation.
Yeah.
But from the way his eyes looked and the way he reacted, it wasn't like tears of joy. I'm so excited. He looked kind of shocked. And he also made the comment, I put this in my notes, well, he said, when you want it, it happens.
Yeah, that's practically what they should have called this whole thing.
Right.
Because that's how she was.
When you want it, it happens.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what about, when we want it, it happens, or we're so blessed. It was more like...
It was a situation where she wanted that baby boy so that he could have a baby boy.
And
but
so that could heal their marriage.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's an interesting observation. Because I did also notice that he didn't seem... you can't really tell. People are different and they react to things differently.
They do.
There's been many times where you see people that are not guilty or that are not guilty that react, or that people think are guilty who are not.
Right.
Because of the way they react.
The reactions are weird.
So you can't always tell, but he was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is great.
Look, and I don't even hold it against her or think ill of her because of it. I mean, when you're in a situation where you have children and a family and you feel your life is slipping away, you will go to great measures to save that marriage and to continue to have a good relationship with the person that you love. And she just wanted her family back, and she could feel it slipping away.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the police are talking to Chris. Let's see, where are we? So now we flash back over to him talking to the police. Mm-hmm. And he says he thinks he's leaning towards somebody took her.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure the police had not thought of that already. So, yes, he's thinking, I really, with her phone still being there and her meds still being there, it just seems like it's probably somebody that took her.
But now, I don't know about you, and I don't know what kind of a housekeeper Shanann was, but that house was pristine. Mm-hmm. I mean, I looked at it and I thought, well,
beautiful home.
Lord help, if I ever went missing and they had the police cam up in here, I'm afraid they couldn't show it on the news.
Oh, no.
I mean, they'd be like, well, good grief, there's cat bags over here of food left undone. There's stuff in the sink. What is this on the wall? Is this blood? No, that's marinara sauce. I mean, they could not be showing my house. I mean, every single room was immaculate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I wondered to myself, okay, was that his doing, or was she just that good of a housekeeper?
Well, she also was gone for 6 weeks.
Right.
So there wasn't a whole lot to undo with no kids being there.
And apparently he wasn't home very much.
He was not home very much.
Yeah.
Yes. So the police are like, hey, listen, he used to be like, I don't know, a couple 250 pounds or something, and he got himself in shape. Yeah. He's constantly working out.
Yes.
Yes. And so the police asked him about that. They were like, hey, man,
looking pretty good here lately.
Pretty good. This seems like might be a good opportunity for you to get,
Yeah. Sometimes when you're trying to put it back on the market, you try to put a fresh coat of paint on that barn.
That's right. That's right. And he said, no, I would never.
Absolutely not.
I would never cheat on my wife.
No. So
the cops call his bluff and say, well, hey, let's do a lie detector. Are you willing to do that? And he said yes.
Okay, this is how you know.
Talk about this lie detector
This
test?
man is a dummy, okay?
He's not the smartest.
He's not the smartest. And plus, here's the deal. This all happened so fast.
Yeah.
I think he did not have time to even consider what would be the best moves, the smart moves. He's just going at it as, okay, well, I'm saying I'm innocent. So if I'm innocent, I don't mind taking a lie detector test.
Yeah.
If I'm innocent, I don't need a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, these days, I don't care if they
It doesn't matter.
put me on a charge of I put the wrong postage stamp. I'm getting a lawyer, and you're not lie detectoring nothing.
Oh,
okay?
Never.
No, ma'am. Mm-mm. I do not test a machine to tell you if I'm...
That lie detector, the woman who administered it, really worked really hard to talk him out of it.
She really did.
She was like, now listen, it would be foolish if you're guilty to take this test.
Right.
So if you're guilty, do not take this test.
Right. If you're guilty, don't take it. And
she worked so hard. She really took every angle and was like, I know this is...
Oh, they were super fair with him.
Yes, they really... Oh, they were more than
fair.
They
didn't even try to play good cop, bad cop.
No.
They were very much like, dude, we just want to find your wife and your kids. Please tell us the truth. Like, we need to know everything. There could be something that you don't even know is important that we need to hear. And that woman played him like a fiddle.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
I loved
to
her.
Watch.
Yeah, she was good.
So she did the test and she called him out on...
She said, are you nervous?
She said, you need to stop breathing the way you're breathing because he was trying to beat that test.
He was trying to beat that test.
And so he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just nervous.
I'm just nervous, yeah.
So he took the test, and 10 minutes later, she walks in with the other investigator, and they say, listen, there is no question at all that this was deceptive.
You're a liar.
And so he's caught. Mm-hmm. He's caught. He's like, no, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But after a few minutes, these people are expert level, CSI. They are amazing.
Right.
They're amazing. And they just said, they made him, what's the right way to say that? They made him so comfortable, like they were his friend. Did you notice they patted him on the shoulder?
Oh, she was rubbing his arm.
Yes.
She was like, are you okay? Are you comfortable?
I know this is hard. I know this is difficult.
Yeah.
And he said, she killed the children, and so I had to kill her.
Oh, but now wait. So while they're in this interrogation, though, somebody sees what's going on the TV, and she decides to come in and give a little information. Remember this?
No.
The girlfriend comes in.
Oh, the girlfriend. Yes.
So while he's being questioned, doing this lie detector test, now he's still saying, I don't know what's happened. I've told you guys everything. His side chick comes in, and she's like, look, she pulled an Amber Fry, and she said, look, she pulled an Amber Fry, and she said, this is how you know I love it. I was like, hey, Amber Fry 2.0. She was like, look, I've been messing with this dude. I knew that he had kids, but I didn't know he had a wife for a while. And then finally he told me he had a wife, but I was okay. But I was okay with it. And she was out of town.
No, because they were separating. He told her they were separating.
That's right. She said, but I was fine with it because they were separating. He was going to get a divorce. And so this 6 weeks we spent together. We went on little outings. We took pictures together. We had all this great time, videos and pictures, and they worked together. And she was like, I really thought he was a great guy, and now I'm seeing all this, and look, I think he's done something. And
I'm real worried.
And I don't want to be involved in it. And so I'll tell y'all whatever you want to know.
You could tell she was really scared that she was about to be brought down too.
She was very scared. And she even said, this is crazy. Yeah. She was like, I don't know what's going on, but if he's done this because of me, like, this is crazy.
Well, the police said you didn't ever tell him that you did not want him to have kids. You never told him that you hated his children.
Like, no.
I mean, I think at that point she freaked out because she was like, oh, they think
I'm something. Yeah. Well, and she even said, she's like, I'm worried about them.
Yeah.
Like, I want you guys to find his wife and kids. I don't want this to be because of me.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine sitting there and going, all right, well, somebody has just annihilated his family because he thinks I'm hot.
Yes, and that's exactly what happened.
That's
exactly what happened.
No.
So he failed the lie detector test, and then he says, well,
they told him, hey, you've got a girlfriend.
We already knew about this girlfriend. No, he confessed, and they said, well, we already knew about her.
Yeah, you don't even have to confess because we already know about her because she's already come in and talked to us.
Yes.
Well, because they said, hey, we're going to ask you that again, and just know we already know the answer.
Yeah.
And then he admitted it.
And so then he starts telling the story about how they met right after, and I don't know that I believe that, but because this is not the story of the trial, so I don't know all the other details that maybe came out.
Right, because I don't think they had to have a for real trial because he confessed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he says, I met her and I thought she was just gorgeous. And so then we started this relationship together, and the entire 6 weeks Shanann was gone, we spent together.
Yeah.
The entire 6 weeks.
And she was younger and she was outgoing.
She was a better version of Shanann.
She was, yeah. She was a newer model.
Yes. And not a better, a newer model.
A newer model. And she wasn't a mom, and she wasn't
she was shiny,
telling him what to do. And she wasn't expecting anything out of him but fun. And she liked to go on these 4-wheeler rides and these adventures, and Shanann was a mama, and she was trying to work, and she was trying to
bring home the bacon.
She was a hustler. Yeah. And now that I love about her.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell that woman got stuff done.
She got stuff done.
And she was kind of maybe a little bit of a perfectionist. Like, she wanted to be good in all areas of her life. And so, he wanted somebody young and free, and kind of wanted to just start over again.
And then, and so her suspicions were right, because when that last week when he went to North Carolina, and he didn't want to be physical with her, and he didn't really do anything but like give her a peck on the lips, and he really just kind of played with the kids. She thought this whole time, well, he kept denying that he had a girlfriend. And so she thought, well, it was something that I did. It was the fight with his mom, and she wrote him this letter about how much she loved him and she was going to do better. And really what had happened was he had fallen in lust with somebody else and was really just thinking.
And girl, like, that broke my heart. When I saw that letter that she wrote him, because the night before she was texting with her friend and she was like, it's nighttime, I'm taking a shower. I mean, we all know what that means. Take a bow. Like, night showers, you're trying to get fresh for your man. And she was like, I'm going to really try to seduce him because I feel like we're growing apart, and I'm lonely and I want to be with my husband, you know? And so she did, and literally he rejected her. And then she texted her friend back, and she's like, I'm literally in bed crying my eyes out because my husband doesn't want to touch me. And it's not like he didn't know that upset her. I mean, he just didn't care because he was getting what he wanted.
Well, he was already getting satisfied.
Right, in other places. So why would he care if she was upset about it? And so she writes him this letter and basically blames herself. I mean, you have to really be in a place of desperation to save your marriage if you're going to take the blame for something you know is not your fault. And she knew that was not her fault. She had her faults, which we all do. And she said, like, I don't want you to feel like I'm emasculating you. Like,
which she did.
She did, but she was trying to, you know, if that's the issue, let's fix it. Let's work on this. I love you. I love our family. And he just didn't care. He wanted to start again. He wanted something new.
So when she came back from North Carolina, she was only there a few days, and then she had to turn right around and go to Arizona, which is where we pick up from the beginning of this movie, the film.
She got home at like 2 a.m.
She got home at like 2 a.m., right, with her friend Nicole. And so this is where we finally find out
the truth.
The truth. Well, oh no, we forgot to talk about this. When the police were questioning him, and he finally had to confess, I killed Shanann because she killed the girls.
Right.
First of all, that female investigator said, are you sure that you are okay with the world believing that Shanann killed her daughters?
Well, because they brought his dad in because he wouldn't say anything. And then they said, look, your dad's here. And he said, I want to talk to my dad.
Oh, my gosh, that was so awful.
And that daddy, oh, my gosh, like, I just got chills. He goes in there and he's like
so calm, and you can tell that he knows something's not right, and he doesn't want to hear what he knows he's going to hear. But he knows he's probably the only one that can get it out of him. So he's just like, I need you to tell me what happened. Like, I need you to tell me what happened to the girls. Where are the babies? That's really all we care about. Really, is the girls.
Right. And he says, and the detective had kind of fed him a little bit and said, did she hurt them? Like, and you could see something going on in his mind, and that's when he was like, I want to talk to my dad.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding, I want to talk to my dad. So dad comes in, and he says, I don't want people to think bad of Shanann. And he was like, what?
Word.
And he goes, well, I mean, I don't want people to, but I don't want to cover up for her anymore.
Oh,
and he goes,
so low.
Did she hurt them? And he goes, yeah, she smothered them. And he goes, so the girls are dead? And he goes, yeah, she smothered them. And so he's just like, oh my gosh.
I mean, it's totally making it up on the fly.
Totally making it up. Again, not a single tear. And he goes, and then what about, so you hurt her? And he said, I did the same thing to her.
Oh.
And I'm just going, oh my gosh.
Yes.
You are the biggest liar.
What a loser, man.
I mean, a coward.
Okay, but it wasn't 5 minutes later that the investigator comes in. All right, tell the truth.
Let's get real here.
Yeah, they were so good. I mean, that's, I guess, how real police works. It's not, what you see on TV, but it was a slow burn for them to finally get him. They really understood the psychology of getting it, get the information
and I mean,
out.
they let him say it. Like, they let him say his lie, and they let him do all this stuff.
And they rubbed his shoulder.
And they rubbed him, and they were like, oh, that's so hard. And then they were like, all right, now let's tell the real truth.
Yes.
Let's tell the real story.
Sound quite right.
That's the first draft. Let's go ahead and get to the final draft.
Let's iron out some kinks
And
here.
so basically they get him to confess the real story.
Which is horrific, Misty.
Horrific.
It's horrific.
Horrific.
I'll tell you, I watched this film back when it came out in the summer or the fall, whenever, and I had forgotten. I knew, of course, that he had killed them, but I had forgotten the details at the very end of how it all went down.
Right.
Oh, my God.
All right, so let's first tell you about how they find them, and then we'll let you know what led up to that. So they bring in this map, and they say, where are they at? And he said, the first location I was at for work this morning. And so they bring out this map, and he works for an oil company. And it's basically this aerial picture, which they had said was taken the morning of, and it was a big field with 2 big oil containers. I don't know what you call them.
To me, they look like silos.
Yeah,
but yeah.
like big silos, but they were full of oil.
Yeah.
And so they said, all right, I want you to circle where Shanann is. And so he goes and he circles this piece of ground. And so they said, okay, there's a sheet there. Is she buried there? And he said, yes, that was the sheet she was wrapped in. And she's buried there. And they said, okay, so where's the girls? And he takes his pen and he writes a C for Cece and a B for Bella, which are the babies' names. And he puts them on the oil tanks. And they said, are they behind it? Are they under? And he said, they're inside.
They're in. It's a 20-foot drop.
It's a 20-foot drop. And the little latch where you can open it to get in is tiny.
Yes.
Probably
8 or 9 inches, I think.
8 or 9 inches, probably just big enough to stuff a baby in.
That's what he did. He stuffed them in there.
He had to stuff them in there.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, are you sure? Like, this is where they are because we need to go get them. And this is going to be a huge...
So we don't want somebody else to find them.
Right. We don't want anybody else to find them, and you don't want them out there. And this is going to be a huge undertaking to recover them. Is this where they are? And he said yes.
Yes. When I saw those tanks, and when they said a 20-foot drop, and I mean, if it's filled with oil, then obviously they didn't drop to the bottom. I don't know how far it was, how
Filled
it
up.
doesn't matter because they were dead.
They were gone. Yeah.
But it's so disrespectful of those little girls and their life together. Oh, it's just awful. Don't start crying because I might.
I know.
It's really, really horrific. And it's just makes you wonder, how did you get to a place where you so angry that you would kill your children?
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, what happened was she came back from Arizona.
Right.
They did end up having sex that night. That's part of and that's important to know because you juxtapose it against having an argument immediately after.
Right.
So they finally sort of have this connection that she's been wanting for so long.
Right.
Immediately turn around and have an argument, and that's when he killed her. We don't know what happened in the argument. We don't know what was said. We don't know what at all happened. But he killed her, and when he killed her, Bella walked in.
Okay, but now I think he's lying about the argument because they said that she had no defensive wounds.
Yes, yes.
I think that he had sex with her to put her at ease.
Yes.
I think he let her fall asleep, and I think he strangled her.
Yeah.
And she was pregnant, and she was on her belly, and she was in a position that she couldn't get up and fight. And so he caught her off guard and
Definitely
took her out. I think the argument just made him feel better to say that.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I mean,
that's what incited my anger, and I'm not this monster. I just reacted, and I didn't know. And she was asleep.
Yes. Well, that's what the dad said, and of course, I would never have thought of that. But he said, if you knew Shanann, you would know that she wouldn't go down without a fight.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a boss. There's no way she would have went down like that.
And especially with those little girls. I mean, she was
and she's pregnant.
Freaking yes.
I mean, as a mother, you and I both know, you will kill for your child.
Yes.
And when you're pregnant,
you're certainly going to injure.
Right. You're going to injure, and you know that for your life to be taken means my baby's life is going to be taken.
Yeah.
You will do whatever you can to try to save them.
So I'm unclear. He didn't kill the children in the home. Well, at least according to him, because he took Shanann.
Because Bella walks in and sees it.
Yes. What's wrong with Mom? Oh, she's going to be fine. She's just asleep. So he took the girls and Shanann. Shanann was dead. The girls were alive. She was in the floorboard and the back seat and I don't know what.
So it was, the way I took it was, so he has an extended cab truck, which if you've ever seen one of those, they are extended, but it's not like a back seat of a car.
Right.
It's very close quarters.
Yeah.
He had wrapped her in a sheet and put her in the floorboard of the back seat of that truck, and the girls were sitting in the back seat, basically right on top of her.
Okay. And
so their little feet were probably touching her.
And so what broke my heart was when he he also said they got to the oil field or to their destination, it was an hour's trip, 45 minutes to an hour.
He had so much time to reconsider hurting his babies.
And so he killed the younger one. Cece is the younger one, if I right. He put a blanket over Cece's head and he killed her. And little Bella kept saying, "Daddy, Daddy, no." Yeah. And then he killed Bella.
Yeah,
it's horrific.
I can't even.
It does not fit in my brain because I think about how much my 5-year-old trusts me. She believes that we take things out of her ear. Like sometimes she loses things and we pretend it comes out of her ear.
Right.
And she believes it.
Yeah.
When my oldest daughter was little, we took a bicycle out of her ear one time.
Right.
And they believe it.
Right.
The amount of trust that they have because they're our children that is something that is a huge responsibility for us.
Well, and this is their daddy.
Yeah.
This is their protector. This is, even up until the day my daddy passed away and I was in my 30s, nobody in my mind would hurt me if I was with him.
Absolutely.
Anytime I was scared, for a long time above my husband, when I was scared, I'd be like, I'm calling my daddy.
Yeah.
Because that's your protector.
Yeah.
That's who's going to keep the bad people away.
If your daddy's done it right, that's going to be
right.
And,
exactly.
And I feel certain that they felt the same way. They were very little, but
when they played that video of that baby singing "My Daddy Is My Hero,"
oh my gosh,
like I wanted to throw up.
The next day after this went down, he called the school to unenroll the children. He called a realtor to get the house ready for sale.
This is all before they even discovered she was gone.
And he texted his girlfriend about their future.
Yeah. Several texts.
That dude deserves whatever he has coming in that jail, in that prison.
I'm going to go ahead and say I hope he gets some jailhouse justice.
Oh, my gosh.
Because there's nothing that would be enough for him.
No.
And not to mention, the girls, but he killed his son. That didn't even get to take his first breath. This baby and she had said all of their children were miracles, like because of her health.
She didn't think she could have babies.
She didn't even think she could have babies. And I don't know that this was the situation, and this is kind of awful to even think about, but I can't help but think about it. When you die and you're pregnant, your body starts giving birth.
Oh.
And I don't know if it was long enough or whatever, but I wondered
what happened
to her body in between that time. It takes a long time to dig a grave.
That's horrific.
It was a 45-minute drive, and when you pass away from other things documentaries I've watched, your body will give birth.
Right.
Because that's what it does.
That's what it does.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Well, the judge that sentenced him, he did plead guilty, and there was no trial, like you said, mercifully for that family.
Yeah.
And he said this is the most vicious and inhumane crime he had ever seen. And we watch a lot of crime documentaries, Misty, but it's hard to imagine anything more vicious than your own daddy killing, their own daddy killing. It's such, you hear about husband and wife things all the time. As adults, it's easy to have a falling out.
Right.
And it's easy not easy, but you hear it all the time that you would snap and in this one moment your life would change.
It's not less tragic, but you can
can
wrap
see
your
how
mind
you get
around
from here
it.
to there.
Okay, yeah.
It's very difficult to see how to get from here to killing a very innocent 2 children.
How are you angry at a 2-year-old?
Yeah. Well,
how do you muster up enough whatever it takes inside of you to do that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Okay, first of all, Nicole,
I can't keep mine sitting in a chair for 5 minutes. I'll cut the timer short. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at mine and, like, Eli does something he's not supposed to, and I'm like, okay, timer, you got to sit here for 3 minutes or whatever. And he's like looking at me, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cut this timer short. Like, I'm a pushover.
Yeah.
But I could never.
His future,
I don't understand it.
His future and the idea of him going to jail and getting caught for this moment of rage that killed Shanann.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't even rage. It was pure selfishness.
Selfishness, right? That's what I was getting at. Is it did not? It paled in comparison to him, with him to the thought of being in jail, and getting caught for his crime.
Yeah.
So it was more important to him to keep living and to keep going on, even if he's a sad, widower with missing children,
Right.
than to possibly get caught because his children witnessed him killing his mom or
Right.
his wife.
Well, and I just wonder to myself, this doesn't happen overnight. Like,
Oh no, it was definitely premeditated.
This is premeditated, and not only that, but this is something within this man that didn't just develop when he met this woman. Okay, people like this that can kill children, their own children, that can kill their wives. There's something inside of them that is evil. Okay, and
That's what's so
there has to
scary.
be things that are triggers, red flags somewhere. I mean, I talk to Avery all the time because I'm scared to death that she is going to marry someone who is not good to her.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, because I have been fortunate enough to have a husband who is so loving and caring and is not perfect, but he has a good heart and does his very best. And I talk to her all the time about narcissism because that is
oh my gosh, avoid that.
so very real. I mean, boys who are angered very easily, who are triggered, boys that blame things on you when it's clearly not your fault, gaslighting, silent treatment, all these different things that you can see that you go, that's happening as a teenager. That's not going to turn into a very good man. Okay. And so I just wonder where along the way did he go, hey, I need to hide these things.
Yeah.
Because that's how I'm going to be able to get myself a wife and these kind of things. But I just wonder if there was ever anything that
Where the red flags are.
yeah, that people saw, maybe friends or family members, that they could go, oh, well, yeah, maybe there was something kind of off in him. I don't know.
It's scary. It's a scary thought. Because as near as I can tell, there wasn't that. I mean,
Right.
her parents loved them. Her brother loved him.
Yeah.
I,
Oh, yeah, they were
know.
crying at the wedding. We're so happy to have you part of
Now-
our family.
I'll say this. It's not always reflective of the child, but it's a pretty good indicator with her not getting along with her mother-in-law. That to me seems like something to consider about how he would turn out.
Right.
I don't know about her. I'm not saying she's a horrible person, but
No.
she could have some of these personality traits that
Characteristics.
in a man like Chris Watts might turn into a rage killing or a premeditated killing, which is what
Right.
the norm is when a spouse kills their spouse, which is usually a man killing a woman. But
Right.
whatever happened, Misty, it's so horrific. It's so horrific. I never want to think about it again.
I never
It's just
ever want to.
our next documentary will be something fun.
Please let it be something happy. I mean, now don't get me wrong. You know that I'm all about a crime documentary because I truly believe that I'm giving myself an education to not be abducted or murdered. But
Well, it's working so far. Neither of those two things have happened.
so far. But I am so enthralled with learning about how people's minds work and nature versus nurture. And because believe me, like, I'm doing my best, y'all, not to raise serial killers. And I'm doing my best to raise good men that treat women well and a strong woman that will not let anyone take advantage of her. Like, I look at these things and I go, what did your mama do to you?
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, and again, I don't blame his mother or his father or whatever, But in a lot of these cases,
You got to look back at the beginning.
you have to look back at the beginning and think,
Yeah. Generational.
what went wrong here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, P.S. Do some research on Ed Kemper.
Ed Kemper.
Ed Kemper.
What is Ed Kemper?
We're going to need to do one of. He is a serial killer that pretty much his mama made him into a serial killer,
all right.
and she got punished for that by him, but that's a whole different story.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
he was
we'll
also
get to
known as the co-ed killer. So if you're interested in learning about how mistreating a child might come back to bite you in the butt, go ahead and look him up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, these things are generational.
They are.
They are generational.
Y'all, please raise good boys and raise good girls and
Yes.
and do your best.
If you need parenting advice, you can always ask us.
Absolutely.
We have it figured out.
Our kids are perfect. No. No.
I'm going to say yes.
Mine are buttholes, but they're good kids. They are kind of buttholes.
Listen, my oldest daughter came home a couple of days ago. Have I told you the story?
Catalina can't do no wrong in my book. I love Catalina so much that I call Nova Catalina as well.
So listen,
because I think she's
Catalina.
awesome.
So she's 13, and a few weeks ago,
Except she's 40.
she's 14, not 13. She's 14, except she's 40.
Except she's 40 in wisdom.
Yes, exactly. So a few weeks ago, around Christmas time, we went to dinner or went to lunch together after church one day, and we said, "Oh, it's a surprise phone inspection."
Oh, I love those.
Did I not tell you this?
No, but I do them while Avery's asleep and scare her to death.
I said, and listen, the truth is, she's a good kid, and I don't have thus far. I mean, she's only 14.
Yeah.
But thus far, we don't have any warning signals of anything.
But you gotta
going down.
check, yeah.
So every now and then, it doesn't happen very often. Every now and then, I'm like, okay, surprise phone inspection right here at lunch at Jim and Nick's. And I said, is there anything you need to tell me?
Now, does this kill the mood, or is she like,
Yeah,
here?
she's like,
Okay.
yeah, she giggles, which tells me there's nothing in there.
Right.
So,
She's like, let me erase the
well,
SpongeBob meme.
I could tell for a split second. She was like,
Oh, what's in there?
and so she gave it to me, and I said, is there anything that we need to know before we look in this one? She said, there's a boy, and he likes me, and I like him back.
But let's not talk about it anymore.
Does that mean that he's your boyfriend? I guess.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't know. She didn't tell us.
Oh my gosh. Catalina.
She's 14 years old. When she talks about, quote, dating somebody, it's like, I'll see you at lunch. Because
Right,
she's not going out with him. That's what they call it. Like in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they're dating, but they're talking over FaceTime. And that's it. So anyway, it was totally benign. There was nothing happening. It was just, hey, what's going on?
Hey, girl.
So this was, So I guess that they started dating, quote unquote, around the holidays. So it must have been like early December, I would guess.
Yeah.
And yesterday she came home, and it was report card day, and she brought home a good report card, and she was like, oh, by the way, so-and-so broke up with me. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, are you okay?
Yeah.
She said, oh, yeah. She said, I really wanted to break up with him, but I didn't know how to do it, so I stopped really talking to him.
That's called ghosting.
Well, she didn't quite do, like, he would say, can you talk? And I would say no.
Oh, I gotta wash my hair.
Can you meet me at the water fountain or whatever? No, I really can't do that.
Oh, I'm not thirsty.
So at the end of the school day, he went to her and he said, we got to talk. And he said, she said, you're breaking up with me? And he said, yeah. She said, okay.
Oh.
I said, are you sure? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
She said, oh yeah, no, it's totally fine. I really wanted him to break up with me.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Avery's first little breakup was so sad. Oh, it was traumatic. Yes. I mean, they literally dated like 3 months. It was nothing. Like they couldn't drive or do anything like that. But he broke up with her.
Oh,
and
trauma.
Was just so heartbroken.
Oh.
And yeah. But she rebounds pretty good.
She's doing okay.
Yeah.
She's doing all right.
She done been through another one since
I don't know how we got started talking about this.
About raising good kids.
Oh,
Because
yes.
we raise them so good.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think Catalina's
Please stop getting my children
so
confused.
bad, so awesome that I won't even call Nova by her name. So it's fine.
All right. Well,
But yeah,
this is pretty fun.
it was pretty fun. It was a terrible, horrible story, but
I know.
and I mean, my heart goes out to the family.
Yes, absolutely.
And I hope old Chris Watts gets it in
We are
prison.
Team Shanann.
Absolutely.
Even if she could be grading,
Oh.
we are Team Shanann.
Who's not great?
You know, the internet
Who's
went
not
crazy
grading?
too. The internet was like, she deserved it. That Chris Watts put up with a whole lot, and I'm like, no, she did not.
That's garbage.
That's
yeah.
crap. Yeah.
They would totally be like, Misty deserved it. If something
I
happened
would
to
fight
me,
for you, Misty.
if
I'll be your
something happened to
Nicole.
me, they'd be like, if y'all had been in their Sunday school class and heard some of the stuff, this girl talking about she need 2 towels every time she go to the bathroom. Yeah, they'd be like, you should have taken her out sooner.
All right. Well, I don't know what we're going to do next, but
It's gonna be fun, whatever
will
it
be
is.
so fantastic.
Yeah.
All
Hey,
right.
y'all, please rate and subscribe and comment because we love y'all.
I feel like we're just talking into these microphones and nobody's listening to us.
If you don't
but
do
we
it,
will continue to talk,
yeah,
even if nobody's listening.
yeah. But if you do it, we'll feel better about ourselves.
Yes, there's a lot to be said for that.
There really is.
There's a lot to be said for that.
I mean, and this takes a lot of time and effort. Not really.
You mean getting away from our children and our husbands?
I mean, I've made mine go to Walmart so we
Yes.
could get this done. So it's important, but.
Yes, for us to keep doing it for our mental health.
And also, if you have suggestions, we have an Instagram page.
Yes.
On the Doc.
Yep. Twitter
Podcast.
page on
We have
the
a
Doc.
Twitter page and we have a Facebook page.
Facebook page.
So if you have requests, send them over and we will.
Or pretty much y'all are all our friends, so you can
Right.
also just call us.
But if you
Text
put it
us.
on one of our pages, we'll give you a shout out and be like, so and so
Absolutely.
suggested this.
Yes.
I
you'll be
hear that.
famous.
Well, I hear that on podcasts that I listen to, and I'm like, oh, it sounds so professional. So and so suggested this story. So shout out to Lindsay. Yeah. So I want to do that.
All right. Okay. I
Okay.
would love to give a shout out to somebody.
All right.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Stop saying bye.
Bye.